Everybody, this is Perch, and I've talked about publisher loyalty in the past. And I think that in general, people probably have a particular publisher in comics that they gravitate to. And it's usually based on kind of some early fond memories. You came into things and your first book was a DC book, and that's kind of your introduction to superheroes. So you always have a fondness in your heart for DC. Means you give them a little bit more leeway when they do things you don't like. If there's comics that bother you, you tend to just your natural gravity is to support DC or Marvel or whatever it happens to be, however you came into it. I also think there's a counterbalance to that of when the company, the publisher, strays too far, that it feels like more of a betrayal as well. So if like you came into DC and you had these very fond memories of, Wally West or certain things, and then the company proceeds to mess around with Wally West and in your eyes degrade the character, then it feels worse. Like it tips from, I'm going to give these guys the benefit of the doubt a lot because it's a publisher I grew up with, I really like it, to you have betrayed me and now you must pay. I think there's that aspect of it as well. A lot of emotion gets tied into it. But that's not the purposes. The video here is really about, does a publisher deserve your loyalty? And I think here's how the kind of the topic got settled in my brain is I had somebody ask me, hey, what do you think about Alterna Comics? What do you think about that publisher? Or are you allowed to say? Or do you feel comfortable saying what you think of Alterna? And the wording was puzzling to me. It was like, yeah, I feel coming to hell at this point in all the videos. Clearly, I don't care. But it was interesting. But that's something that's come up before, and I've heard this from some new creators come up. I had one artist reach out and say, "Hey, I think I have an opportunity to do something Alterna, but I'm not sure I should, because if I do, I'm going to get branded in the industry, and what should I do? Basic options." So first off, for those people who are going, what at this point, if you haven't heard of Alterna, they're a small publisher, a little indie publisher run by a guy named Peter Samedi. He's got a YouTube channel, and he's been, I think, pretty transparent, at least with like you can go and watch his videos and you can immediately kind of tell, what he does, what he's about, the kind of books they do. It's all kind of out there, so you can quickly see that. But Alterna, and not to wade through all the old past, Alterna, the problem is when you go through his past, somebody's always going to tell you're leaving something out based on kind of where they sit with things. But so a couple of years ago, Alterna kind of made this statement that, I think it was Richard Meyer said, hey, I think Alterna has some good books. And Peter Samedi either said thank you or did a like. And some people saw that he did a like or said thank you, and then they got mad. And it's like, oh, Peter Samedi's supporting Richard Meyer, and Richard Meyer's a hate guy. And so it turned into this entire zoo of a thing. And then there's a whole other problem about Peter Samedi didn't want creators using block bots. And then some people said he actually said you couldn't block people at all, but then he said no, it was bots. And again, all this history is out there. The point being, Alterna is a publisher, just like Xenoscope's a publisher, and Dark Horse, and Marvel, and DC, and Boom, and Mad Cave, and all these other people. And for me, and this is one of those cases of your mileage may vary, you may be different, but this is just how I view things. And I'll tell you, I think this is healthy. If you find yourself struggling a lot with comics and publishers and kind of various battles and everything else, consider what I'm about to say. Go for the comics or the creators, your pick, but go comic by comic, because the reality is, when somebody says, what do I think of Alterna? My answer is they've got some books I've enjoyed. They've got some books I have not enjoyed. I appreciate that they're trying to do something different with the business model, meaning part of their deal is that they print on newsprint, so the comics are cheaper. And that is a strategy, right? This isn't Peter Samedi going, I think I'll just give money back to the world. This is a strategy of his to say, hey, I'm going to offer a product at a more competitive price, and I think that's something that can differentiate myself and build up an audience. That's the reason he's doing that, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's smart. You should And every publisher does this. They're trying to find ways to stand out so that they get noticed, so they get revenue. That's the whole deal. But in general, when somebody says, what do you think of Mad Cave, or what do you think of Boom, or what do you think of Alterna, in my head, I'm quickly to the what titles, what comics is that publisher producing that I like, and that's how I answer the question, and that's how I think about it. I don't think about it in terms of trying to make an accounting for everything that publisher has done, because the reality is, if I did that, I think I would have to hate everyone. I mean, DC had Eddie Brazinga. They had all kinds of goofballs in that company doing things. Marvel has treated people terribly at many occurrences. They've treated good friends of mine terribly. And I'm not talking like mean tweets. I'm talking like not paying royalties, or stiffing somebody out of something, or using lawyers to kind of cow down somebody who wanted some recognition in a comic. I mean, there's enough bad stories about all these people that I can't give my loyalty to any publisher as just blank check. I can't do it. I don't do it. And I think that I don't know. I always suspect that the people who are loyal to a publisher first and the comics second probably aren't reading the comics. Like, you're at that point, you're more loyal to a brand rather than the output. And in comics, it's all about the comics. I mean, it's all about the individual titles. If the titles are good, I'm happy. And there are titles I'm enjoying right now that DC's putting out, that Marvel's putting out, that Image is putting out, that all these companies are putting out. There's usually at least one thing at every publisher that I'm enjoying. And doing it that way just it makes me a lot more sane. I totally get why people are saying, "Hey, Marvel Comics, they've been, they've had rude customer service. They've done things that are wrong. I'm swearing off Marvel Comics. I'm doing nothing with Marvel Comics." I get it. I get it because it's your money, it's your wallet, and if seeing that Marvel logo up there is going to bother you because you feel like you're funding something that has treated you poorly, don't fund it. There's no shame in that. There's no problem with that. By the way, I've always thought that was a pretty non-controversial statement. I think that there's, how can you argue with that, right? Everybody should have the right to spend their money where they want. But you would be surprised at the, there's always a couple downvotes I get on videos, and I couldn't figure out for some why I would get more downvotes than usual. There's always like the two or three that come in to downvote everything. That's fine. But some get more. And I get, when I do videos saying, hey, DC is not going to die in the next 2 months, then I get why those, because there's some people who really bought into that, and that's their belief. And so I'm saying something that they disagree with, so they downvote. Again, completely fine. You can do whatever you want. But I didn't understand the people who would downvote the videos that say, it's your wallet and you should spend it how you want. And then finally, somebody was kind enough to send me a mail flaming me that explained it a little bit and said that using the language, it's your cash and you can spend it the way you want, is a dog whistle to the alt-right, because that's a Comicsgate slogan that people should basically spend money where they feel comfortable. And I can't even wrap my head around that. Like, I like that. That makes no sense. I'm sorry. That makes absolutely no sense, because the reality is there's plenty of people out there who are not funding Comicsgate titles, and they're doing the same thing. They're saying, I don't want my cash to go to that, and they don't. And that's good. Like, what a stupid thing to argue about. I'm sorry. It is. That is one of the dumbest things that I think has come out of all this, is this counterpoint. It's like, I hear what you're saying, that people should be able to spend money how they pick, but I disagree, because because why? Here's the weird part: is people say I disagree, or they'll say that's a dog whistle, or they'll say all this other stuff, but they never give me the counter argument. So what is the counter argument? That if you like comics, that when you go into the shop, that you're like, well, sorry, we're going to have to take your $20 here, and I know you want Batman, but you're going to have to also buy, Squirrel Girl and Miss Marvel and this YA thing over here, because that's just the tax of reading comics. You don't have any choice. I mean, what? What are people even talking about? I find the whole thing very weird. But all in all, I think that, to me, here's my basic pitch, and you've probably heard this before. I think more publishers are better than fewer publishers. I think that because more publishers are going to compete, they're going to come up with other ideas and other things to try, and different business models, different cover ideas, different things. And in a free market of content, it's better to have more ideas than fewer ideas. So I'm in favor of more publishers. I also believe that I'm not going to agree with the ideology or the politics or the personal preferences or the weird kinks of everyone who runs all these publishers, because it's going to be a rainbow of people and they're all going to do their own thing, and I don't care. It doesn't bother me. People can do whatever they want. To me, I want good comics. And I am open to the idea that good comics can come from anywhere. They can come from Marvel, they can come from DC, they can come from Alterna, they can come from crowdfunding, they can come from, Joe down the street. Joe Casada does not live down my street, but just some imaginary Joe guy. They can come from my daughter, who's drawing comic books on napkins right now. They can come from anywhere, and conversely, bad comics can also come from anywhere. So the trick is find the comics you like, read them, enjoy them, buy them, and have your loyalty there. That's my pitch. Again, it feels like I'm making an argument of like, hey, water is wet. Maybe this is a kind of thing when Zach talks about the Perch take. This is like a classic Perch take of like, hey, just do something reasonable. Magic. Like, I mean, I guess so. Like, don't be a dumb asshole one way or another. Just enjoy what you want. I don't know. It's a weird world. I think a lot of this is performance. I mean, I hope everybody realizes that when you see these fights on social media and other things, I mean, it's all just a performance. I mean, people are bored. They're tired of being stuck at home, or they wish they were stuck at home because they're out, in a fast food place during the time of COVID, and they just want to be anywhere other than where they are. And they're going on Twitter, and it's like, I want to have an argument. And if you tweet something like, "Hey, flowers are nice," nobody's going to do that. But if you tweet something like, "I think all flowers should be destroyed, and that will make the world a better place," you're more likely to get some entertainment for the afternoon. That's what you got. Anyway, let me know what you think. Do you have a loyalty to the publisher, to the comics, to a creator? Where's your loyalty lie? And do you think loyalty to publishers is just a weird concept in general? Let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe. Tell me all the ways I'm wrong. That's good too. Follow me on social media. Ooh, social media. And thanks for listening.